to ask you, what books changed your life? Not just entertain them, but truly transform the way that you view yourself and view the world. What books would you say? Today I'm going to share mine, and I honestly believe that at least one of these videos will speak to exactly where you are in this season of life right now. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Alexis Brianna, and in today's video, I'm going to be covering the 5 books that completely changed my life, or at least significantly impact the way that I view the world or the season of life that I was in at the time. And I really wanted to cover these 5 books because they span topics and genres. We have memoirs, we have literary fiction, we have emotional wellness, and even rediscovering your purpose based on the season of life you're in. And honestly, I truly believe that at least, I think more than one, but at least one of these books will significantly impact you or completely change your life. So before we dive in though, I want to know, put it in the comment section, what is a book or a couple of books that completely changed your life or changed your outlook on life? Definitely let me know, because I'm always looking for books that challenge me or make me better or help me look at the world through different eyes or different perspectives. So let's go ahead and jump into the 5 books that had a significant impact on me. All right, let's start with our first book. And I want to say before I cover this book, these are in no particular order. It's just kind of how they fall. But the first one is Believe Bigger by Marshawn Evans Daniels. And she writes to women of faith, specifically in this book, undergoing a season of transition or reinvention, I believe is what she calls it. And I'll read a little bit of what's in the dust jacket, or like the summary of the book, just so you have a general awareness of the topic. So it says, Marshawn Evans Daniels thought she was on the right path. She was an accomplished businesswoman and a high-powered sports attorney, ready to marry the man of her dreams, until she learned just days before a fairy tale wedding that he was cheating on her. After betrayal flipped her seemingly perfect world upside down, she found herself craving significance, not just success. Believe Bigger is about resilience, reclaiming your life, and how God uses rejection, hardship, and unexpected circumstances to awaken something greater within, if you're willing to embrace disruption. And I think that that's like a really beautiful summary of this book and what this book is about. I actually read this book immersively, so of course you can see the tabs, but I also listened to it in audio, and just being able to hear her voice tell, especially some of the more personal stories that she covers in this book, I think made all of the difference for me, because I don't know, I just hearing the inflections and the emotion, it really helped me connect to her story. And I saw a lot of my story in her story as well. And one concept that she really talks about in this book is divine disruption. Like, when it seems like your world is falling apart, is it really falling together? And that really changed my mindset, or shifted my mindset around a lot of transitions in my life. And I was in particularly going through a difficult season while I was reading this, and one that had a lot of transition in it. And while I was in that season, I was undergoing a really big career shift, and it came at exactly the right time. It helped me look and say, you know what, I'm not being punished. It was a repositioning. It was like, you're probably not going to make this decision, because on paper it didn't make sense. The decision that I made at the time did not make sense on paper, but looking back, it completely changed how I moved and what my career looked like moving from that point. And so it really helps me dream with a boldness, or dream differently, or I don't know. It helped me, as it says, like, believe bigger for myself. So I always recommend this for someone who is in the middle of a career transition specifically, but also maybe in a life transition that has like a lot of different impacts on their life. So really love this book. Definitely recommend you listen to the audiobook so you could hear the emotion and the inflection in her voice. All right, so next we have Ruthless Elimination of Hurried by John Mark Comer. And this book essentially just challenges the hustle. It challenges the status quo. It challenges achieving and doing more. it challenges what you view as contentment. This book is it's a lot of things about this book. So I added this book to my TBR when I was pregnant at the time. So this was back in 2022. And I was like, I really just need to look at life differently. Like when I got pregnant, I don't know what it is about getting pregnant, but you just look at things differently. And I was like, I really need to create margin in my life. And I just saw this cover and I was like, it had really good reviews. So let me add it. Well, before I could read it, I went into emergency labor and my daughter was born 13 weeks early and we had a whole NICU stay situation. And this book was one of the books that I read while my daughter was in the NICU. And I don't think I'm trying to put into words like how significant this book was for me. Rest was something that I really struggled with, right? Like resting to me felt lazy at times, or I felt guilt around resting. And this book helped me see that rest is necessary, especially in this hustle culture of a world that we live in. I just think that rest is not always prioritized. I know like there's this whole thing about the soft life and, what self-care and all of that. But in that conversation, I don't really hear a lot of conversation, at least that comes up in my algorithm. Maybe it is talk about it out there that I just don't know of, but I haven't really heard a lot of talk about intentional and mindful rest. I'm going to read a little bit of the description just so you have a little bit of insight into what this book is about. I had to look it up on my phone because I realized like there is no description like in the first few pages or even on like the back, which I think is just really weird. But it says, "Who am I becoming?" That was a question nagging pastor and author John Mark Comer. Outwardly, he appeared successful, but inwardly, things weren't pretty. So he turned to a trusted mentor for guidance and heard these words: "Ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. Hurry is the greatest enemy of the spiritual life." It wasn't the response he expected, but it was and continues to be the answer he needs. I think that pretty much sums up a lot of this book. I think that was a good description of the book. I can't speak enough about this book. Absolutely loved it. One practical thing that I have gotten from this book and have implemented in my life is a good slow morning. Listen, I'm going to take me a good slow morning when I can, right? I do have a whole husband and a whole child, but when I'm able to, I do create margin in my life to be able to just be and rest without feeling guilty. Now, does that guilt slide in there? Yes, because I'm a recovering workaholic. I'm a recovering perfectionist. So yes, those things slip in, but I really should probably read this book again now that I'm not like intensely, deeply in trauma. So I'll probably eventually add this to my TBR, but this was a really good book. This was a good book. All right, next up we have Walk Through Fire by Sheila Johnson. And this book on audio in her voice talking about her story was everything. It was everything that I needed and didn't know that I needed. It's something about hearing someone tell their story in their own voice. I don't know. It just makes the story more real and it resonates more with me. Like I just absolutely love listening to autobiographies or memoirs. And I don't know, how do you know if something is an autobiography or memoir? Or do they mean the same thing? I don't know. But it's her story essentially read and written by her. And just hearing Sheila talk through her story of personal betrayal, I mean deep personal betrayal, and career or professional reinvention, and even just her story of healing and what that healing journey and process looked like it was so inspiring and it was raw, and she was really honest about where she was and just her mindset in certain seasons of life. And you really saw her grow. It was an evident growth in that book. And I absolutely I loved it. I loved it and ate it up. It's something about seeing someone go from ashes to just and rise out of the ashes like a phoenix. I know. It was kind of corny, but literal ashes. Like imagine seeing your world or your life that you've built for the last couple of decades. She built I think it was $1 billion company at the time, like that the personal betrayal happened and she ended up leaving the company. But I think it was valued at $1 billion. She helped build BET with her husband and ended up leaving the organization. I don't know if she bought herself. I don't know. I can't remember like how the exit happened, but the exit happened and she ended up rebuilding a whole new business. And I don't think this is a spoiler, but she's now the CEO and founder of Salamander Resorts, I think. I think that's what it's called, but it's like this massive like resort that had, or multiple resorts. Actually, it's not just one. In the book, it was one, but there's multiple of those resorts now. And she's also like, I think, a part owner of the DC sports situation, like the men's basketball team and then the women's team. Like she's one of the co-owners of that team, which, I mean, how do you go from literally it's a good book. Okay, so she does talk about building wealth. Yes, like you can definitely get some business perspectives in there, but really and truly, it shows how you can rebuild your life in a sense. I think sometimes as people, we think it's too late, like to change course, or I've been working at something and then like all of this happened and I'm forced to have to change how I do things and my environment. Just you're forced to change. And I think this book really, really shows you the process of it, and that it's okay to be figuring it out along the way and to hold your head high despite what's going on around you, because you are not determined by your circumstances. You are not determined by the season of life you're in. Like life happens and life can suck at times. However, it's not always going to be like that. I truly have to believe like life is not always going to be like that. And I really think that her story, specifically the time that she grew up in, it just, yeah, it's a really inspiring story. Okay. All right. I'm gonna leave it there, but read the book or listen to the book. No, yes, listen to the book. Definitely listen to that book. Okay, so we have another audiobook on the list, and you may be surprised by this. And stick with me before I say the topic. Stick with me. It was a life-changing book for me. For me. But I think it could impact you. You give it a chance, okay? Give it a chance. All right. It is This Could Be Us by Kennedy Wright. And I know it's a romance. However, it is deeper than a romance. This was my first book that I had read by her. I'd heard good things about her as an author. But this book was so layered. It covered healing. It covered grief. It covered like deep complexity, right? Like the duality of it all, like being able to hold multiple things at the same time and it all be true, right? It held love, but not just romantic love of a partner, because of course, yes, it's a romance, right? But self-love. It covered so much self-love. And honestly, this book helped me, I don't know, in a lot of different ways, really analyze portions of my life and my own self-love, right? Like, how do I love myself? What do I think about myself? Like, and even though like, how do I say it? Like, you can think something of yourself, but do your actions truly show it? Is it like lip service to yourself? Like, are you telling yourself an own lie, or do you really believe what you were saying about yourself? I hope that makes sense. But it really, I know again, it's a romance, but the way that this Black woman is so complexly, is that even a word? Written complex. Like, she's written in a very deeply layered and complex way. Yes, that's how you say that. She is just, she's a deep person who, yes, is flawed, who is messy, is figuring it out along the way, whose world, again, has been turned upside down. Now that I think about it, there's a theme amongst these books of like just transition and figuring things out in the messiness of life. But yeah, that is what the main character is doing in this story. And I'll leave it at this. I won't go down a rabbit hole because I can, but this book really, even though I know it's a work of fiction, but it showed me in storytelling form that healing is not always linear, right? It's not linear. It can be jagged and crazy and messy. And yes, in my mind, I knew this, right? Because I've gone through several healing journeys myself. But to be able to see that on page and to see it from the perspective of a Black woman was extremely impactful to me, and I really hope that you give that book a try. I know it's popular in the romance space, but I don't know how widely popular it is amongst, the wider general more population. But definitely, if you're not a romance reader, give it a try. Give it a try. Give it a try. Last but definitely not least, we have The Garden from Within, or The Garden Within. I'm adding words to it. It's The Garden Within by Dr. Anita Phillips, and I will read a little bit of it in case you're not familiar with it. It says, in this game-changing book, trauma therapist and mental health expert Dr. Anita Phillips reveals how embracing emotion is the key to living your most powerful life. Just as gardens thrive in good ground, the abundant life you've been seeking can only be grown in the soil of your heart. Okay, so this is a book that I listened to on audio and quickly realized, very quickly realized that I needed to immersively read it. But it was one of those books that tenderly broke you down. Like, she was nice about it, but yeah, it still broke you down, and challenged you to think about life and how you view emotions and how you view some of the most vulnerable parts of yourself. And I was like, I need to actually finish this on audio. If I can finish this on audio, I'm going to get this for myself, reread it immersively, and take notes. This is definitely a note taker. So I recommend, if you are an audio person, definitely still get the physical book and annotate the mess out of it, or just read it physically. It's definitely one of those note-taking kind of books. And again, I don't think I've read a book where it's self-help in a sense, or I think that this is technically would be titled as self-help or in the self-help section. I don't know what the technical or specific genre of this is. However, it is one of the most unique books that I've read that combines neuroscience with the spiritual, with, she's a trauma therapist, so she just integrates a lot of different aspects of her background, or her professional background, into it in a way that, again, it doesn't come off as preachy. It doesn't come off as like, where it's like waving the finger at you. It's very, 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 very kind and tender to kind of she knows that you probably have not thought about your emotions in the way that she is talking about, or that maybe a lot of people haven't considered. And so she is really, really tender. Okay, so there are a lot of really impactful concepts in this book. And when I say a lot, you're probably going to pause it, because it's like, man, okay, I'm gonna have to reevaluate that. Like, you have to like collect yourself after some of these things. It's just, it took me a minute, even though this thing is not that, it is not long at all. It is, it's like about 200 pages. Yeah. It's less than 200 pages. Like, the acknowledgements start at page 200 or 190. The acknowledgements start at 199. But baby, this thing is packed with ahas. But the one that I will point out the most, just if you're like, okay, what did you get from this? I would say one of the things that I got from it is, and I hope I don't mess this up, but essentially, emotions are not distractions. They're not weakness. They're sacred data. I think that's what she calls it. They're sacred data. And that sacred data is information from God given to us about what is happening in our hearts, right? Like, what's happening in our body. I think so often we shut down our feelings, or we compartmentalize to get through the day, or to get through the moment, or get through the season, because it just feels so dark. And so we have to cut off the feeling so that we can get through it. But that those emotions are actually sacred data, and we just haven't, and generally speaking, maybe this is not your story, but in general, not all of us were given the tools to emotionally regulate, or have the emotional intelligence to be able to name what the emotion we're feeling and where it's coming from and what it's rooted in. And I don't know, this is, again, it's one of those books that will make you think about how you feel and how you process your deep and difficult emotions and in a light. And yes, this was a good book. This was definitely a good book, and I recommend it all day long. All day long. Okay, so I know I said 5 books, but I have an honorable mention. So go with me here. Go with me here. I could not do this video without mentioning Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Hopefully I'm saying her last name correctly. But this book is one that, I don't know, it's so chaotic. It's so messy, but it's so real. And I actually read this in high school, and it opened my mind to other stories and these style of books that are more classics, because all of the books that I was reading up until that point in school, I didn't like. I was reading them because I had to, and maybe that's why they weren't as enjoyable. But this was the first classic that I was like, oh, this is good. You probably won't even be able to pick it up on camera, but like, I have so many highlights and annotations and things that I wrote inside the book. And literally, I'm looking at one of my things and it says, did she just say that? Yes, LOL. Like, this was a book that, for me, a lot of the books that we read were like tragedies, and they were just I don't know. I just didn't understand the hype around them. But this is one of the books that it was chaotic. Yes. It covered love. It covered disappointment. It covered heartbreak. And it covered not truly, man, like a life that just, it felt like it was wasted because you were just searching for revenge. And Wuthering Heights is the only novel of Emily Bronte, who died a year after its publication at the age of 30. A brooding Yorkshire tale of love that is stronger than death. It is also a fierce vision of metaphysical passion in which heaven and hell, nature and society, and dynamic and passive forces are powerfully juxtaposed, unique, mystical, and a timeless appeal. It has become a classic of English literature. Again, last thing I'll say, I definitely can see why this is a classic, and it's definitely written as a classic. Like, I ain't gonna front. Now, it's not in plain English, okay? It is definitely written in classic. That's all I gotta say. But it truly is a good book, and definitely changed my perspective on books in general and just literature, classic literature. It just changed. Okay, that's it for real this time. I won't add any more. Those are the 5+1 books that completely changed my life, or helped me look at life differently, helped me look at myself differently. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me. Be sure to drop in the comment section a book that completely changed your life, or a book that you really feel strongly that I should add to my TBR. I may need to do another video. But let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this, if you liked this video. Thank you so much for sticking it out with me. If you've made it this far, if you've made it to the end of the video, thank you. Be sure to drop, I don't know, a rainbow in the comment section. I always love to know who has stuck it out to the end of the video with me. Y'all, I love y'all down. I love y'all down because you stick through all the craziness of these videos. But anywho, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, or hit that bell notification so you don't miss a new video. Until the next time, happy reading, and be sure to add one of those books to your list. All right, bye y'all.